The night sky over Tokyo blazed an infernal red. March 9th, 1945. A date forever etched in history as the night the ancient capital was engulfed in a firestorm. Operation Meetinghouse. The name itself seemed innocuous enough, but the reality was anything but. 279 American B-29 Superfortresses descended upon Tokyo, their mission to break Japan's war industry and end the Pacific War. What followed was a night of unimaginable horror. Over 16 square miles of Tokyo were reduced to smouldering ruins. Tens of thousands perished in the inferno. The air itself seemed to burn, thick with smoke and the stench of death. Operation Meetinghouse was a cataclysm, a man-made apocalypse. The Tokyo firebombing remains one of the most controversial episodes of World War II. The road to Tokyo was paved with the shattered remnants of a bombing campaign gone horribly wrong. Precision bombing failed, civilian casualties mounted. American planners faced a grim choice: abandon the air war or embrace a brutal strategy. They chose firebombing, unleashing massive, uncontrollable fires. It was a desperate gamble with innocent lives. The firebombing of Tokyo might end the bloodshed. The early days of the United States Army Air Force's air campaign against Japan were marked by a staunch belief in precision bombing. American planners envisioned a campaign to cripple Japan's war industry while minimizing civilian casualties. The reality, however, proved to be far different. High-altitude daylight bombing raids faced many challenges. Fierce resistance from Japanese fighters and anti-aircraft fire took a heavy toll. The B-29 Superfortress, though advanced, had flaws. Japanese industrial targets were hard to hit accurately. Strong winds scattered bombs far from targets. Precision bombing was not working. A new, ruthless strategy was needed to break Japan's will to fight. The failure of precision bombing forced the United States Army Air Forces to confront a grim reality. To achieve decisive results, they would have to resort to tactics that would inevitably inflict massive civilian casualties. Firebombing emerged as a chillingly effective alternative. The concept behind firebombing was simple, yet horrifyingly effective. Instead of high-explosive bombs, firebombing relied on vast quantities of incendiary bombs to ignite massive fires. The densely packed wooden structures in urban Japan served as perfect fuel for these infernos. The adoption of firebombing was not without its critics. Some argued that targeting civilians crossed a moral red line. Proponents argued it was a necessary evil to shorten the war and save lives. Section 3, Ethical Quandary, the Targeting Debate. The USAAF's shift to area bombing sparked a heated ethical debate. Proponents argued it was necessary to break Japan's will and minimize American casualties. They pointed to blurred lines between military and civilian targets. Japanese industries were embedded in urban areas. Opponents cited just war theory, condemning the targeting of non-combatants. They feared horrific civilian casualties. A city under siege. The early hours of March 10th, 1945. A cold front cleared the skies above Tokyo, perfect for the USAAF's raid. 279 B-29 Superfortresses took off, targeting Tokyo. Eastern Tokyo, densely packed and vulnerable to fire. Operation Meetinghouse marked a radical departure. Low-altitude bombing promised greater accuracy. Attacking at night exploited a weakness in Japanese defenses. The first wave carried napalm, and the city remained quiet. The element of surprise was total. Section 2. The firestorm descends, a sea of flames. Shortly after midnight, the first wave of B-29S arrived over Tokyo. The city below, shrouded in darkness, seemed deceptively peaceful. Then, without warning, the first napalm bombs began to fall. The impact of each bomb was like the eruption of a miniature volcano, spewing forth a torrent of fire and superheated air. The specially designed canisters, filled with a thick, gelatinous mixture of gasoline and a napalm gelling agent, burst upon impact, scattering their contents over a wide area. The ignited napalm clung tenaciously to whatever it touched, creating fires that burned with an almost unimaginable intensity, generating temperatures that could reach 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. As more and more bombs rained down, small fires coalesced into raging infernos. The densely packed wooden structures of eastern Tokyo, parched by an unusually dry winter, proved to be ideal fuel for the firestorm. Soon, entire neighborhoods were engulfed in a sea of flames. The air itself seemed to burn, thick with smoke and the acrid stench of burning wood, flesh and melting metal. The roar of the firestorm was deafening, a monstrous symphony of destruction composed of the crackling of flames, the crash of collapsing buildings, and the desperate screams of the city's inhabitants. Above the inferno, the B-29s continued their relentless bombing runs, their crews witnessing a scene of unimaginable horror unfolding below. Trapped in the blaze. On March 10, 1945, eastern Tokyo became a living nightmare. Awakened by bombers and fire, many were trapped in an inferno. Escape routes choked with panicked crowds. Families separated, cries swallowed by the firestorm. Some found refuge in parks and open spaces. Others perished in underground shelters. Napalm fires turned streets into rivers of fire. Over 90,000 perished. Many burned beyond recognition. The Sumida River became a macabre tableau of charred remains. Section 4, A City in Ruins, the morning after. As dawn broke over Tokyo on March 10, 1945, the full horror of the previous night's attack became horrifyingly clear. Eastern Tokyo, once a bustling metropolis, lay in ruins, a smouldering wasteland. The iconic Sumida River now resembled a blackened scar, its banks littered with debris. Survivors, many suffering from burns and injuries, emerged to confront unimaginable devastation. Yet, amid the ruins, there were flickers of resilience. Section 1. Tokyo in ashes, the immediate impacts. The morning light of March 10, 1945, revealed the true scale of the devastation. The once vibrant city lay in ruins, its heart ripped out by a firestorm of unimaginable fury. The air, thick with the acrid stench of smoke and charred flesh, hung heavy over the shattered landscape. Rescue workers struggled to navigate the debris-strewn streets. Makeshift hospitals overflowed with the wounded, bearing horrific scars. The cries of the injured mingled with the sobs of those who had lost loved ones. The immediate impact of the raid was catastrophic. The official death toll was over 90,000, with thousands more missing. Over 1 million people were left homeless, their lives upended in a single night. The physical destruction was equally staggering. Over 16 square miles of Tokyo had been reduced to a smouldering wasteland. Homes, schools, hospitals, factories, all lay in ruins. The city's infrastructure lay in shambles, its ability to function extinguished. The Tokyo firebombing's impact extended far beyond immediate devastation. News of the raid, slow to emerge due to wartime censorship, shook Japanese society. Whispers and first-hand accounts revealed the true extent of the damage. The psychological blow was profound. The material costs were equally devastating. The raid worsened shortages of food, medicine, and essential goods. Operation Meetinghouse, a devastating event, served as a grim harbinger of a new form of warfare. The firebombing of Tokyo foreshadowed the atomic bomb's terrifying power. The success of the Tokyo raid reinforced the belief in area bombing's impact. The campaign continued, targeting other major Japanese cities. The horrors of that night in Tokyo served as a stark warning of modern warfare's human cost. The firebombing of Tokyo remains a deeply polarizing event, igniting debates about the morality of total war. Proponents point to the brutal realities of the Pacific War and Japan's refusal to surrender. By early 1945, Japan showed no signs of surrender. Their military fought with tenacity, stunning Allied forces. The battle for Iwo Jima cost over 26,000 American lives. The invasion of Okinawa was proving even more costly. Faced with a protracted invasion, Planners argued drastic measures were needed to end the war swiftly. Firebombing aimed to shatter Japan's will to fight. The firebombing of Tokyo is condemned as an unjustifiable act of terror bombing, a moral stain on the Allied war effort. Critics argue it was a deliberate act of mass murder targeting civilians. The victims, mostly women, children and the elderly, posed no direct threat. Their deaths were the intended outcome of a morally bankrupt strategy. Critics argue the campaign may have prolonged the war by hardening Japanese resolve. The moral debate surrounding Operation Meetinghouse continues to resonate in the 21st century. The firebombing of Tokyo and the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki highlight the ethical dilemmas of warfare. The arguments for and against such acts are complex, entangled with the fog of war and humanitarian concerns. There are no easy answers, no morally unambiguous paths in total war. The legacy of Operation Meetinghouse lies in grappling with the questions it raises. Decades have passed since the inferno that consumed Tokyo. Yet the city bears the scars of that night. The Tokyo firebombing is not marked by grand memorials or national holidays. Instead, it is remembered through smaller, intimate tributes scattered throughout the city. Amidst modern skyscrapers lie small parks and green spaces, tranquil oases with a tragic past. Today, they serve as quiet memorials, their serene beauty a poignant counterpoint to the horrors they witnessed. Plaques and monuments bear witness to the events of March 10, 1945. They serve as solemn reminders of the human cost of war, urging passers-by to pause, reflect and remember. The memory of the Tokyo firebombing is kept alive through official memorials and the efforts of survivors. They share their stories and hopes for a peaceful future with younger generations, passing the torch of remembrance to those who did not witness the horrors firsthand. Katsumoto Saotome, a survivor, founded a small museum in his home. It is filled with artifacts from the ruins, like melted toys and charred photographs. Saotome's museum holds a profound emotional power. It is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Visitors hear first-hand accounts of survival and the enduring legacy of trauma. Their testimonies are a powerful call for peace and a plea to learn from past mistakes, striving for a world where such horrors are never repeated. The story of Operation Meetinghouse is a difficult one to tell, a narrative woven from triumph and tragedy, of military necessity and moral reckoning. It defies easy answers, forcing us to confront the complexities of war. The firebombing of Tokyo remains etched in history, a stark reminder of human conflict's destructive potential. As we reflect on that night, it is a shared responsibility to learn from the past and strive for a future where such atrocities are never repeated. The survivors' resilience and hope guide us towards peace. Remembering Operation Meetinghouse acknowledges the human cost of conflict and the importance of empathy and understanding. The pursuit of peace demands our constant attention and commitment. We must confront difficult truths and our shared history. The legacy of the Tokyo firebombing lies not in seeking retribution or assigning blame, but in extracting valuable lessons from the ashes of a devastated city. It compels us to re-examine the conduct of war, to question the acceptability of mass civilian casualties as a means to an end, and to explore alternative paths to conflict resolution. The destructive power unleashed upon Tokyo serves as a stark reminder of the need for international cooperation, for robust institutions dedicated to upholding human rights and preventing atrocities. The horrors of that night should serve as a catalyst for a more just and equitable world order. Let us honor the memory of those who perished in Tokyo and in countless other conflicts throughout human history by dedicating ourselves to the pursuit of peace, justice, and understanding. Let us strive to build a world where the flames of war are extinguished.